Hello everyone, hope everyone's well and hope everyone's blessed. So, I want to talk a little bit about how I survived addiction, and how I continue to survive addiction. You know, um, I continue to survive addiction because I've stopped using. That's the main thing, because I don't take drugs no more. I don't put any mind-altering substance into my body. Therefore, that makes it a lot easier to survive addiction. Now active addiction is different. You know, when I was taking drugs, I didn't care much for myself. I didn't care much for the things that I was getting involved in. I didn't worry about consequences. I didn't care who was harming. I didn't care who was in my way. And certainly wasn't bothered about what I was doing to myself. Now, that being said, I was a little bit fed up, of taking drugs, the way my life was going. I was sick of, looking a mess, being a mess, sick of doing the things that I was doing. So I got involved in Narcotics Anonymous. The message was carried to me by my mother. My mother is 27 years clean and sober. God bless her. What a woman she is. She's absolutely amazing. Now, my mother got me involved in NA. She carried the message to me of clean time, serenity, and all this stuff she carried to me. And she said, look, it works if you work it. All you've got to do is go. So I decided to delve into it. I decided to go. Now, it wasn't easy at first. When I first walked in them rooms, I was very judgmental. I looked around the room and I thought, is this what it's come to? Look at these fucking lunatics in this room. It was hard. It was a hard pill to swallow. It was a tough pill to swallow. I looked around the room and I did not like what I seen. I wasn't comfortable with my surroundings. I wasn't comfortable with myself. I absolutely hated myself for being for being in them rooms. But I kept going. I felt like I had no choice. I tried everything else, jails, institutions. I've tried to stop using for my kids. I tried to stop using for my missus. I just couldn't do it. So I started to work this program. I started to attend the meetings. I was doing 3 or 4 meetings a week. And these meetings are called Narcotics Anonymous meetings. And when I got heavily involved in these meetings, I quickly found out that, I kind of wanted what was on offer. The things that I spoke about, clean time, peace of mind, having a choice, loving yourself, handing the will of your life over to God of our understanding. All this lingo I quite didn't get. The words and the lingo, I didn't understand it. But it sounded good. And then the people that were talking in these rooms, it was like they were regurgitating the way I was thinking. Some of the stuff that was in my head that I'd never spoke out about, these people were talking about it, and it was in my head. So I was like, whoa. We are told when we walk in them rooms, look for the similarities, not the differences. And that's exactly what I did. I looked for the similarities, and I quickly found out that there was far more similarities than you could ever imagine. These people who were sat in these rooms they were thinking exactly the way I was thinking. When they openly spoke about their vulnerabilities and their insecurities, I found it admirable. I found it uplifting. It was lighting a fire inside me to wanting to get fixed, wanting to be better. I didn't want to take drugs anymore. And the more I went to these rooms and the more I sat in these rooms, the more I started to realise I wanted what was on offer. I wanted to be clean. I wanted to be a better person. And I knew if I continued to come to these meetings, that's exactly what was on offer. So I continued to go, and I started to do the suggested things, find yourself a sponsor, work through the steps, service, tea and coffee, share at meetings, just helping out, getting involved, and I quickly found that when I was doing these suggested things, I started to get fixed. I started to have better days. I started to see light at the end of the tunnel. I could picture myself having a life without drugs, having a life without using, because at the beginning I couldn't picture a life without drugs. I couldn't imagine myself not taking drugs. I couldn't imagine myself being straight-headed. I just thought it'd be too boring, too shit, and it'd be no life for me. Wow, I was wrong. I sit in front of you now, sober, no drugs, no mind-altering substance in my body, happy and free, having a choice whether shall I or shan't I. Do you know what? I don't want to today. Again, the just for a day saying, we're told just for a day, Paul, just for a day, just for a day. At first I didn't understand what it meant, but then I quickly heard someone say, look, Tomorrow's gone. It's pointless worrying about. It's pointless worrying about yesterday. You know, who cares what's going to happen tomorrow? That was the saying. You know, pointless worrying about yesterday's gone. Who knows what's going to happen tomorrow? Just for today, I'll have a good day. Just for today, I don't need to pick up. Just for today, I will not use. And I enjoyed that. It simplified things for me. It was easier way to live. You know, because if I started to worry about next week my mate's having a party, or next week my mate's getting married, or next week my mate's son's getting christened, I have to have a drink at this. You know, I started to procrastinate and started to worry. And when I had reservations of what was going to happen in next week or in the 2 weeks time, it used to make me want to use, it would fill me with anxiety, you know, and I would start to worry about what am I going to do next week. You know, in hindsight, all I needed to do was just focus on today, you know, and if I did that 9 times out of 10, I had a good day. You know, focusing on today, just living just for today is an easier concept of life. You know, when you look at it in the bigger picture, you know, all I have to do is just get through today. You know, and that's pretty easy to do, especially when it comes to using. You know, just for today I don't have to pick up. Just for today I don't need to use. You know, and when I was living that way, I found that the days were coming quick and fast. Before you know it, I was picking a 90-day chip up. You know, clean and serene for 90 days. Clean and serene for fucking 6 months. Clean and serene for 9 months. The days were coming quick and fast. And I found myself getting more clean time, more happier. You know, life was getting better. You know, I was becoming a better person. You know, employable. You know, I had things happening in my life in a small period of time of being clean. Things started to happen that I could only dream of. You know, turning a pro, becoming a professional athlete, becoming a professional fighter. You know, having jobs messaging me saying, "Oh, we've got a job here for you," or "Do you want to come work with us? Do you want to come and work here?" You know, I'd never experienced that. You know, paying monthly bills. Sound as daft as it sounds, paying a Virgin bill. You know, paying phone bills. You know, this type of stuff I'd never done. You know, out of all the 10, 15 years of 20 years of trying to fucking provide for my family and doing it, I was shit at it. I couldn't even pay bills, never mind fucking look after my wife and kids. Do you know what I mean? Where fellowship helped me become the person I am today. You know, and if you're out there struggling with drugs and don't know where to turn to, what to do, you're feeling alone, you're isolated, and you just can't come up with a way of how to stop using and how to change, Google Narcotics Anonymous meetings near me. If one is close to you, fucking go. Go, give it your all, give it everything you've got, and just go. Because I promise you, you will never look back. If you go to these meetings, I'm telling you now, you will be set free from drugs. You know, you've got to give it your all. You've got to go and give it 100%. If you don't, you get what you put in. You get out what you put in. It's as simple as that. So, listen guys, get yourself to meetings. You know, reach out. If anyone's got any questions about Narcotics Anonymous, go over to my Instagram. It's Paul Venice 222. Ask me any question you want. You know, I'll tell you exactly what works for me. Now listen, I have mental health. I have addiction problems. I suffer with obsession and compulsion. You know, I've got all the labels, the suicidal tendencies, the personality disorders. I've got it all. I sit in front of you here now, not on one bit of medication. I don't take a thing. You know, and I am fine. I am okay. God has my back. Fellowship has set me free from this. It's an amazing thing, guys, and trust me, if you work it, you'll be fine. God bless, guys.